Now, is hoop culture your first business, or are you kind of similar to other entrepreneurs who've probably been running businesses and trying different things since they've been kids? How long have you been on that type of grind?
Well, I would say that ever since I was a young kid, I always had a business mindset. I grew up with very little, and so I always wanted to gain more. And I think that it started with, baseball cards to paper routes to selling, selling merchandise to buy more merchandise. As a young kid in middle school, into high school, I started getting into playing basketball, and I did that pretty much 24/7, and I had to, because I wanted to be the best that I could be. I took that into college, and I played at a junior college, then at a small Division II college. And during that process, I knew that I wasn't going to be playing at the next level. So I took that hard work that I put into basketball and started putting into school and business, and started dreaming about, what I could accomplish beyond the basketball court. So my first business was trying to help kids get into college for basketball. For me in particular, I would have never attended college. I grew up in like I said, in a poor environment where no one had ever attended college before, but it was the only place that I could play basketball at the next level. So college was the only option for me to continue to play basketball. And for that reason alone, I ended up getting a degree, a great education, opening up so many more doors than what my small town had to offer. And so after I graduated, I saw the value that basketball brought to my life personally. And I wanted to help other kids fulfill the same goals of playing at the next level. I figured if I could play, anybody could play. It's just finding the right fit, whether it's a junior college, Division III, NAIA. So I put together this database that had all the schools in the country that offered a basketball program. I called it Hoop Connection, and it connected athletes to college coaches. Probably premature before its time, where the internet was really a social community in a specific space like this. And so I remember promoting it, and I had this DVD basically where you could load it, and it had all the schools on there. You could basically take it in your own hands, reach out to coaches. They wanted to see game tapes. I mean, the process is so simple for the lower levels. Division I, there's all the money in the world to recruit. And I'm speaking, obviously 12, 15 years ago, when I was in this space. But, smaller schools, they recruited from having personal camps or getting videos. I remember my college coach, he'd get videos from overseas and be like, have to make recruiting decisions based on kids submitting videos. So I wanted to get into that space and just help one kid go to college. And I remember trying to promote that business, Hoop Connection, at a basketball event. And I had a t-shirt on there with the logo. So the logo's always been the same. So Hoop Connection, the HC logo. And some kid was like, how much for that t-shirt? And I was like, maybe I need to switch gears here and figure out how to make money in business so I can be successful, so that I can truly be a blessing to other people. And so ever since that moment, we took the HC, turned it into Hoop Culture, because that's more of a lifestyle brand for apparel, and ran with that. And so, for the past 10 years, that's what we've been doing, and that's where it's kind of came from. So technically, I started kind of with the mentality of a Hoop Connection, where I was connecting athletes to coaches, but it evolved into Hoop Culture. And thankfully, that's pretty much the only business I had to be in. I think it's one thing when you're so passionate about something, you'll find the will to survive and to succeed.
You said something else that I think is important that kind of helps tie the direction I would like to go with is, in so many words, you leverage what you learned in wanting to be the very best basketball player, and leverage something about that into the energy, the et cetera, to not only start your business, but continue with the grind. As a former collegiate athlete yourself, what were some of the transferable skills, transferable experiences that you developed in wanting to be the very best basketball player you could, and take it to where take it to your physical limits, and then transitioned into business and kept it moving.
Yeah, and I'd like to kind of thank my one of my teachers, professors in business. He said that I won the IBM Business Award in college, and he said I took my hard work from the court and put it into the classroom. And I thought that was interesting because that was before I knew I did that, because it's just a natural trait that we develop when we're trying to be better. Through practice, work ethic, especially if you're smaller than everyone else, you work harder. And that's one of the things that, I've learned, that it doesn't matter how big you are. It just matters how hard you work and what you're willing to sacrifice and put into it. But I think with basketball in particular, it's really the work ethic that I developed from it, because it was the endless nights in the gym. It was the endless practices during the day. It was endless of what I could do to be better. And I poured it all into basketball. And so pouring that into the next step, and when I graduated college, I got into, sales and advertising, and that's competitive as well. So, when you want, it's just like,
Did you find yourself tapping into your basketball experience during tough times, mentally or physically challenging times? I got to get up. I got to go do this, the grind.
I think naturally I did that, but I think it was more so the game of life, the game of business, just wanting to win, just being competitive. So I think that competitive spirit aligned with basketball, which is a team sport. So you have to have that, leadership ability to lead your team, to work well with others. I think that's crucial in any job. You could be the best salesperson ever, but if everybody hates you and you don't do things the right way and bring, your team up with you, you're not going to have long-term success. You're going to maybe have some short-term successes. And so I think that's one attribute that I attained, was learning how to be the best that I could be, and also to be a good leader and to be able to work well with others. And those sports does that for young athletes. You see so many athletes going into the sales profession, and it's because we're competitive, and it's because we want to achieve, success, and it's an endless grind. I mean, just like one game, right? You have 82 games, say, a season for the NBA. Every single game is new. Every single day in sales is new. So you take that same, work ethic, and you pour it into something like that, where you get what you put in. And that's something in sales and in business that you're able to attain. So I can work 24 hours a day and get what I put in. And that's something that you can't do everywhere. And not everybody gets that same work ethic from, not necessarily playing sports.
Gotcha. Were you ever a captain of a team?
I was. Yep. So that was one thing, and when I got to every level was different. In high school I was a captain, and in junior college I was all academic and all-star, and a captain. And then I got to NCAA Division II program where we're testing NCAA Division II, and I was basically, I remember my coach said, "What number do you want?" And I was like, number 12. And he's like, "Well, you're number 21. And I knew where I was at that point. I had to work and grind. I wasn't the big recruit. I was basically fighting for my position. And so even though I was not a captain when I got to the Division II level, I ended up, earning a starting position my senior year, and also winning the coach's award. So I think that's one thing where it's like I was willing to work harder, and everyone was willing to, obviously follow that lead, I think.
Absolutely. I think that's critical to being legitimate, to lead through influence, as John Maxwell says. The greatest level of leadership is influence, not position. Right. So that's awesome.